In this episode,
or films like Halloween, indie filmmakers' clear vision of, what he wants to do, even where he's writing his own soundtrack. Then Hollywood steps in, and the next thing you know, you got Busta Rhymes doing kung fu on Michael Myers. So,
welcome. You're listening to PaleoCheeze Podcast, episode 21, part 2, Evil Dead 2 with guest Todd Keisling.
Welcome to part 2 of our time with author Todd Keisling, where today we're going to be discussing Evil Dead 2. Mm-hmm. This is the film that Todd picked. He gave us 3, and out of the 3, we chose this one. Jeremiah had never seen it before. He just recently saw Evil Dead this year. This is probably my 4th time seeing Evil Dead 2, I think. And so we're going to hang out and talk about it. Evil Dead 2 is it's somehow, according to the director, Sam Raimi, not a remake of the first, even though it has the same protagonist, in the same cabin, the same necklace, the same reel-to-reel summoning deadites. I'm guessing Ash just completely forgot that he lost all his friends, his girlfriend the last time, and decided he wanted to take his girlfriend to the absolute worst place that you could ever want to. And not because there's deadites, but because it's a pigsty and it's disgusting and there's nothing there. It's directed by Sam Raimi, written by Sam Raimi and Scott Spiegel, starring, of course, Bruce Campbell and his chin. And
his chin.
So let's
and the monocle. And the monocle came back. I mean, it's like he's got a girl there. Michigan State showed back up again, man, on the outfit.
Those guys are all from Michigan, though. I mean, that's part of it. And I have to interject here. My understanding of the disparity between the first and second movies is that they could not get the rights.
You're right.
To the name or for the actual footage. The footage. They could not get the rights, so they basically had to reshoot. So like the first 10 minutes, where all the way up till the demon is rushing out of the cabin right at Ash and he's flying, that's actually a retcon of the first film.
It's a quick recap. But when you don't know that, it is confusing, man. It's real, but I did know that, and I had to poke fun.
It's okay.
It was a little confusing for me. I sat there and I was watching, and I'm like, wait a second.
Did this idiot really bring another girl back to the cabin?
Yeah, and he's like, look, there's a tape player here, where a tape recorder, and I'm thinking like, dude, you don't remember this? And there's talking about the book, and then he sees that the girl he gave her that monocle as a gift, the monocle necklace, and I'm like, bro, you did that before. Maybe it's the same one. You dug the chick's body up and just popped it off the neck and stuff. Well, no, she didn't even have a head anymore. So I mean, it's like maybe an easy grab, but it confused me. I didn't know any of that backstory. Yeah,
right. Okay. So Todd, I'm assuming you adore this film. What made you choose it?
I have a funny history with this film. I've talked about this in the past. I love telling the story because it gives me the giggles. So I'll try to keep this short. After my parents got divorced, I was very young. My mom and I lived with my great grandmother, and we had access to basically what amounted to free video rentals because my grandmother worked at the only rental store in Corbin, Kentucky. Very small town. We had a rented VCR from Curtis Mathis, and my mom, Curtis Mathis. Wow. It was one of the top loaders. Yeah. So my mom worked during the day. She went to night school. I was alone a lot of the time. I would have maybe 3 movies, and then my mom would have a stack of horror films. Well, I could run through those Disney movies in no time. So I am upstairs in my granny's house, and she's downstairs doing whatever grannies do. And so I would start watching my mom's movies. And
yeah.
So I, at a very young age, this is my horror pedigree. At a very young age, I had seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Evil Dead 2, Maximum Overdrive, Friday the 13th, 1 through whatever they were up to at that point in the late 80s, mid 80s. And there were 2 movies that I kept going back to that I enjoyed specifically because they made me laugh. Mm-hmm. One was Maximum Overdrive. The other was Evil Dead 2. And we rented Evil Dead 2 and Maximum Overdrive so many times that my mom finally had a friend of hers record those movies on a blank cassette. Mm-hmm. And back then, for the kids who were listening, you could get a blank cassette for like 6 hours. It had 6 hours on it, so you could have 3 films on one of these cassettes. So we had Maximum Overdrive. In the middle was Dirty Dancing for my mom, and the last movie was Evil Dead 2. Now, I don't know what happened to the cassette, but I'm sure my mom still has it somewhere. But the last time I can remember watching it, I was in elementary school, and the whole middle portion of Dirty Dancing was unwatchable from all the times I had fast forwarded from Maximum Overdrive to Evil Dead 2. Yeah. So Evil Dead 2 was one of my go-to children's films. And I thought it was so cool that this guy cuts his hand off and replaces it with a chainsaw to fight demons. Like, that's straight out of a fucking comic book, man. Yeah. So, something about that just captured my imagination. And I watched that movie over and over and over again. I still know some parts by heart. Like, the opening intro with, Professor Nobi's voiceover, legend has it that it was written by the Dark Ones, Necronomicon Ex Mortis, roughly translated Book of the Dead. Yeah. So around the time I stopped watching that, the cassette was around the time Army of Darkness came out, which, that's actually the 3rd movie in that trilogy. Mm-hmm. The studio wouldn't let them name it The Medieval Dead, unfortunately.
Which is the absolute perfect name for that.
It's a perfect title. It's And so in 4th grade, and I wish I had this still. Do you guys remember in elementary school those long, yellow manila sheets of drawing paper? They're almost not bigger than legal size or ledger size pages. Okay. So you know what I'm talking about. I actually started drawing a comic book adaptation of Evil Dead 2 when I was in 4th grade.
That's cool.
And I remember even where I stopped. I stopped at the part where he's pulling the duct tape with his teeth after he's cut his hand off. I stopped there. And I tried to find that before I met Campbell back in 2001 for his book tour, If Chins Could Kill. And I couldn't find it. It probably got destroyed in a move somewhere. So I got to tell him briefly about growing up watching this movie a million times, and he said he was sorry for de-enhancing my life. Oh, no. Yeah. But really, really nice guy, despite all the the snark and whatnot. He's a really cool guy. So Evil Dead 2, I've seen. It's probably, out of all the films I've seen in my lifetime, it's probably the one I've seen the most. Second being Maximum Overdrive.
My experience with Evil Dead is a little bit similar to yours. My experience with Evil Dead 2 is not, but my mom would go to the video store. Actually, I think I watched it on beta.
Oh wow!
So this was I think this was like 84.
Okay.
I think I was 14.
Now, what does that mean? What's the difference between beta and anything else?
They came out around the same time, but they were like Xbox and PlayStation and VHS 1.
HSD or HD DVD versus Blu-ray back in the mid 2000s. Kind of the same thing. Like one, if I recall, Betamax had a higher resolution, but
they were smaller tapes.
Yeah, smaller tapes, higher resolution. VHS won out because the porn industry adopted it.
Yeah,
that's right. And that's how Blu-ray won too. The porn industry adopted Blu-ray. So yeah.
Wow.
So
the more you know. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Huge one of the biggest corporations or the biggest businesses in the world. Yeah, made that decision, and that's why they stopped selling Betamax. But the video store was a beta only video store at the time, so it was, beta was still fairly new. There was no real competition, I guess. But my mom would get me horror movies, just pick them out blindly, and she got me Evil Dead. Never heard about it. I don't even think I had read about it in Fangoria yet. And I watched it. It just blew me away. I loved it. And there was no Evil Dead 2. There was no Army of Darkness. And so about 3 years later, I was living in Denver with my dad, my biological father. He was a huge Evil Dead fan. And we both were constantly on the lookout for just ultra gory movies, Cannibal Holocaust, and anything that said banned in 40 countries on the cover. Yeah. And so we were always on the lookout for that. And I remember one day, and this was in 87, one day we were driving on the road. I don't remember where we were headed, but we saw on the marquee at the theater, it said Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. And we're like, what? We had no idea that the Evil Dead 2 was coming out.
That's awesome.
Had no idea. And my dad about got in a car accident, swerving over there and going into the parking lot. And we're like, we're going to see this. And so we went in there and we were not happy. Again, you got to figure there was, people nowadays, they know they have three options. They know that the movies get silly. They know that Bruce Campbell is silly, but at the time, it really was the ultimate, whatever, in grueling terror, Evil Dead. There was nothing funny about it, at least at that age. I mean, I suppose you could poke fun at the low budget and different things that they had to do, where with the moon and all that kind of stuff. And but at the time, it truly was just a really like grindhouse, gritty horror film, like Chainsaw Massacre or something. Tons of blood. A lot of just completely brutal. So that's what we're expecting, is another episode of this, and we were so excited. And I just remember sitting there and going, I did not like that humor at all. My Evil Dead was now tainted, and they swapped out, that like uneasy feeling of, wow, this is really almost too much, to like, now it's funny and there's nothing scary. And I remember at the time, my biggest complaint was, she mentions in the movie, all I read was this part where it turns the evil in flesh. And I was like, do not freaking show that Evil Dead. Do not show this thing that we've been watching creep through the woods in the last movie and a half. And sure enough, there's, what's his name? A rotten applehead dude through the door. And I'm like, no, you're, why are you doing this? Why are you showing this thing? I was really, really disappointed. My dad hated it. I hated it at the time. Okay. And, but again, if we were just like, hey, let's go to a movie, and we went to see Evil Dead 2, we probably would have just loved it. But
if it was like by itself.
Yeah. But see, I'm curious. I'm curious what your thoughts are, Jeremiah. Considering, I don't know if I told you. I guess I did tell you it was like kind of a comedy.
Yeah, dude. You said it's something maybe the kids would enjoy, dude. And then you got Lady McNudie Pants, dude, in there.
No, I told you. I said
you were like, oh, the kids would love it. You're like, they would. There's nothing that's a problem.
No, that's not what I said. I said there is a scene. I said that they could probably watch it. I said there's no nudity except for there is the chick in here. I said, but I said she's covered in so much gore that you can't really see anything, and it looks more like a mannequin anyway.
Yeah.
Well, a little bit, but dude, that is definitely a boob. No doubt about that.
Plastic,
plastic. It's like rubbery. You know what I mean? Like kind of gross looking and stuff.
I just want to point out
comedic.
that you had more issue with your kids seeing the nipple than you did with the girl's head getting cut in half.
It's true. It is. It's true. You know, well, because they know that person, if that person dies, that it's really, really unlikely that person died on the set that way. So, like, you know, they know that, okay, well, we've shown them makeup and how they do it and the special effects and all that. Whereas if it's just, you know, a boob hanging out, you know, she's probably got that. It's highly likely that she still has that right now, right? Unless there's a major intervention.
Did they watch it?
No, no, they didn't. I was downstairs because I'm like, I was getting all my stuff together and all the kids are up there. And now I've got little Wolfgang, dude. He turned a month old today. And so he's a month old right now. And, you know, when they're 1 month old, you know, there's a lot of crying going on, a lot of suckling and stuff happening. And it was just, you know, I said, it'd be better if I just went downstairs. I'm in the dungeon, you know, be a little scary. And I was glad. Only that one scene, though, it was really the issue. So, I mean, it would be something that, and we've done that before. We did that with Halloween, right? Where you just say, well, this is the timestamp for that one. And I've said that I wanted to do that on IMDb, where I actually share that for parents stuff and everything. But and then also to put in lots of death, lots of blood. But no, the movie, dude, it was, other than the confusion in it, and the expectation, because I kind of went into it. You saved me a little bit by saying that it's funny. It's meant to be a comedy. Like a lot of it is comedic. It's not as kind of a grindhouse thing as the first one. That if I went in and didn't know that, I may have been bummed. You know what I mean? Like I might have been like, what the heck? And kind of, you know, I was already confused a little bit. But it was fun. And once I realized, okay, this is what he means by this is fun. The over the top mannerisms and stuff and different expressions that he has. He's so hilarious, the main guy, right? Just a hilarious guy. Like when he says he wants to go with his girlfriend, right? And he's gonna go in the room, drink a little champagne, and his eyebrows are doing this thing, and he's like, "Because I'm a man and you're a woman."
Yeah, I'm a man.
Last time I checked.
Yeah, last time I checked. He sounded like him too, man.
So and cheesy,
yeah, and so it's really cheesy. The scenes where he's, you know, taking the head and it's biting onto his hand with those hilarious sounds of crunching and grind, you know, crackling and crunching. And that he's winging that thing around like that baby on what is it, Dead Alive? That guy just winging that baby around, slamming it into everything at the park, right? Like anything that's hard and metal, dude, just slam that baby against it. But it's a monstrous little child. But the seeing that scene, there were some things that I was still confused by, like, you know, the body that had the head off, and yet it was still like going around and doing stuff, because I guess he didn't dismember the whole thing.
Yeah, I think you got to cut the arms and legs off.
Yeah, and the last thing, you know, just first impressions. The last thing is, I thought, you know, I don't know the history of this, and I when different horror movies were made, but to say there were things in there like The Exorcist, for example, right? Like almost a reverse Exorcist, where the body was spinning but the head remained where it was. And then the ghosty dude, right? The dad, who turns out he's the dad, right? That it kind of, and maybe I'm off on this, but it kind of reminded me of that real quick scene in Exorcist where it shows.
Oh, totally, dude. Totally.
Yeah, totally. And then this is really random, but the scene with the hand, where his hand it got a mind of its own, and it's basically saying words as it's kind of dragging his body and stuff. It reminded me of the anime film Vampire Hunter D, because he's a vampire, and he's got a hand that has a face on it, and it eats dirt and stuff, and he ends up getting hurt, and it's like, come on. But the voice that it does, that kind of squeaky voice and stuff, and it's moving around by itself. I bet Vampire Hunter D was maybe even influenced a little bit by that. You know, it just reminded me a lot of that. So first impressions, fun. A little confusing, but only, and I'm kind of glad that I was a little confused because it means that I didn't do too much research ahead of time and just allowed it to hit me however that came. Mm-hmm. But a lot of fun, goofy, still gross. Although the green blood, it was interesting, like the kind of slime thing.
I was a little bummed. I was a little bummed. I mean, I know that they, used, just like in Evil Dead, they used milk or whatever it was, so that there wasn't too much blood. It's like saying it's like you're allotted so many F-bombs before we turn this into an R. Like you can say it once or twice or something. Right. Same way with blood. That's why they use like the milk. But I was a little bummed that they didn't use any. It was either black, green, or red. But I thought that milk stuff, just like within Evil Dead, it's like it's not blood, but you don't see that color liquid coming out of anything. So it's kind of disturbing, it just as much as the blood is. It's like, wow, that white, rather than green, it's like alienish,
Didn't Jaws do white blood? Where he's gutting the fish, wasn't it white?
Oh yeah, there was like a white residue that spills out.
Yeah. So, but dude, I had a good time. It was fun to watch. And so like, yeah, all around fun. I like the first one better though.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I like the first one better, but maybe that's partly because I'm such a newbie to horror that I didn't know what I was kind of getting into. Plus, Chad, I watched it with you, didn't I?
What, Evil Dead?
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we watched. Yeah, so that's a little bit different. That's like on a different level. Like you can't really, the experience of that. You know what I'm saying?
But Todd's experience is, it's powerful. So, like, you can't compete against nostalgia. Like, there are some movies that and I'm not saying Evil Dead 2 is a bad movie. I'm saying there are some movies that are bad that I love them so much. And it's because I have so much nostalgia attached to them. Or TV shows. Three's Company, one of the greatest shows ever. Some people probably think it's garbage, but man,
I don't know about that.
Back to late 70s, and you're not a Three's Company guy.
No, I don't think there's anybody on the planet that doesn't like Three's Company.
That was before my time.
Yeah.
Sorry, gentlemen.
Yeah. No, it's not.
So
Chad knows a show like that for me.
Anytime somebody starts talking about, like, I totally get it. I mean, I understand because of everything involved with that. Just like if somebody is like, your average Metallica listener, they're like, oh, well, give me Kill 'Em All and Ride the Lightning. But if they came in at the Black Album, or God forbid, Saint Anger or Load or Reload, then that's like that's their go-to. That's when they came in. They've got the memories. They had a good summer or school year that time. And so that's their kind of like, entry point. And that's what was helping them build those memories at the time.
I don't know if this is helping Todd at all. I mean, you're comparing this movie to Reload.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. So I started with Black Album. I liked Load. Did not like Reload. Hated Saint Anger. I like Death Magnetic. But I look at Metallica as pre-Black Album and post-Black Album. There are certain post-Black albums that I enjoy. They're almost different bands in a way in terms of sound. Mm-hmm. So Ride the Lightning. I love Ride the Lightning. Kill 'Em All. Not a huge fan of Injustice for All. Mm-hmm. Personally. But I also liked the Black Album for what it is. I mean, it's not my go-to. I like Load. I have a lot of memories about listening to songs on Load. Reload, no thanks. I like some of the songs on Death Magnetic.
What about the song? It's named after an alcohol, man. Is it whiskey something or bourbon?
Whiskey in a Jar. That's not their song, though, really.
No,
Whiskey in a Jar.
That was from the Garage album.
That was kind of a fun song, though. I mean, I'm a little bit young for the Metallica thing.
See, I came in at Ride the Lightning, and then I think I heard Master Puppets before even Kill 'Em All, but I saw them on that tour of Master Puppets, and so I was a fan at that time. So that's one of those things where it's not necessarily the the album that you're in, but when you start to hear the change and it's like, this isn't my Metallica anymore.
Yeah.
So when I had those first 3 albums, and even And Justice, I started it because I had so much respect for Metallica doing the whole, we're not going to shoot a video thing. And then when they did the video for One, at the time, it was such a huge deal. And a lot of us, like, you know, elitists or whatever, where we were like in the more extreme stuff, the hardcore and punk and you know, speed metal, and you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Metallica's got it was the equivalent of them cutting their hair for like
oh god, for
later albums.
Yeah,
just the video, but the video is cool and the song is cool, and I do like And Justice for All, but it's not my. That's when things started to wane a little bit, and then by the Black Album, it also became one of those things where the band suddenly wasn't my band anymore. It was the whole world's band, and now I had to share this whole thing. So, but those different things that are attached to each individual experiences are so unique. That's why I never get down on anybody for liking, you know, like I don't necessarily believe in guilty pleasures. I'm a huge Madonna fan. I like her first 2 records. You know,
Madonna's awesome.
But you know, and I'm constantly listening to Sade, but I also listen to, you know, tons of hardcore and punk and things like that. So if somebody tells me, well, I like this and Five Finger Death Punch or something like that, and I'm just like, I can't stand them, or Nickelback or whatever, I don't care. You know, music is music. You've got your own experiences attached. We were all born with different tastes, and same goes with movies and stuff.
But see, man, you're always busting my chops, dude, about Fortress, dude. See, look at your face. This is the video. Everybody can see it. You can tell. I've been itching, dude. When you were talking about, like, man, you know, people have nostalgic experiences with that. Like, I understand. I just had this big smile on my face, like, oh yeah, dude, it's coming.
Dude, I made. Remind me, and I made something for you that is on that topic. I'll have to share it with you.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm kind of nervous though, man, because that's like traumatizing childhood experience, dude.
I love how we went from Evil Dead franchise to Metallica.
Yeah.
You know, early Metallica, late Metallica, sellout Metallica.
Speaking of selling out, I guess too, with my experience with Evil Dead 2 is I watched it again yesterday, and it felt like I just felt like, because Sam Raimi and his buddies, you know, went to Michigan, was it Michigan State or Michigan University? I think it was Michigan State.
It has to be, dude. No Wolverine would have people wearing Michigan State. Well, I mean, they do die quickly, so there might be. You know.
Well, they went to school together, Sam and Bruce, and you know, so they all knew each other. They had these friends doing this thing, and everything they did was out of passion and out of you know, like some of it out of desperation. You know, like the contacts that they used, nobody could see. They were stumbling around because they had to wear the hard contacts. The makeup was horrible, but it was so horrible that it worked so well, and they did what they could. And then you get Hollywood, they get a bigger budget, and it's almost as though some of that creativity, some of that desperation was kind of that they were forced to use in the first one. They end up using a lot of stuff that I guess they thought looked good, like all the matte paintings in the background in the green screen, and stuff like that. But I'm also a little biased because I know Tom Sullivan, who did all of the effects for the original Evil Dead. Everything in that movie, the claymation and all of the effects, from the you know, every spot of makeup to the even the little box that Ash gives her, the little blue box with the little hearts on it and the little flowers on it. You know, he did all of that stuff. So he lives right near me, and he's been over to the house a couple times. He's brought all that stuff. That's, you know, cool. all of the props and the Book of the Dead but he only did so much for part 2, And so that's part of my bias, I guess, too, is that it wasn't that he got locked out. It's just that his contribution, like he did the book, was a different type of book.
I was going to ask that. Did he do the drawings in the book?
Yeah. He did all
did he make the dagger?
Yes, he made the dagger
too.
He
made the dagger. Yeah.
And I've got pictures of me holding all this stuff too, by the way.
That's cool.
And then, but the book from part 2 is it's like a spring-loaded thing because they had to do the picture thing. So it's a different size than the original book. The original book looks like freaking crap. It doesn't, you can barely see the face on it. It's old. He brought over there's the deadite that's flying that Bruce shoots. He brought that over. That's not in good shape either. And he also brought over this really rare, I don't know if you can even get this on YouTube. I have no idea. I've never searched it out, but he brought this videotape over that had a bunch of movies that Bruce and Sam had made together.